I never thought I'd be the kind of man who'd plot revenge against his own wife. For 7 years, I believed Lily and I had built something unbreakable. We met during senior year at Georgetown, married after graduation, and spent 5 years building careers and saving for a family home in the suburbs. Our plan was simple: establish ourselves professionally, enjoy married life, then start a family on our 5th anniversary. I still remember the moment everything changed. It was a Tuesday evening in April, and I'd just returned home from a long day at Henderson Consulting where I'd recently made senior consultant. Lily was waiting in the kitchen, 2 glasses of wine already poured, her blonde hair slightly disheveled, a telltale sign she was nervous. "Ryan," she said, pushing a glass toward me, "we need to talk about something before our anniversary next month." I loosened my tie and sat across from her at our kitchen island. "Sounds serious." "I've been thinking about our plans to start trying for a baby," she began, twisting her wedding ring, another nervous habit I'd come to recognize. "And I want to propose something first." I took a sip of wine. "Okay, what is it?" "I want us to have a month of freedom before we commit to parenthood." I nearly choked on my drink. "Freedom? What exactly does that mean?" Her eyes met mine with unsettling determination. "I want us both to have 1 month where we can see other people, experience things we might miss out on once we're parents." The kitchen suddenly felt too warm, too small. "You want us to sleep with other people? Is that what you're saying?" "Not affairs," she corrected quickly. "It wouldn't be cheating if we both agree to it. 1 month of exploring, then we close that chapter forever and start our family with no regrets." I set my glass down hard enough that wine sloshed over the rim. "Where's this coming from? We've never talked about seeing other people." "It's about being certain before we take this massive step," she insisted. "Once we have children, there's no going back." A realization struck me. "Is this about Susie? Did she put this idea in your head?" Lily's slight hesitation told me everything. Susie was her college roommate and closest friend, twice divorced at 32, and constantly bragging about her adventures with men she met at bars or on dating apps. "Susie and I have talked about it," Lily admitted. "But this isn't her idea. It's something I've been thinking about for a while." "Since when?" "We've been planning our future for years. You've never once mentioned wanting to sleep with other men before having our baby." "It's not just about sex," she protested, though her flushed cheeks betrayed her. "I've only been with 3 men my entire life. You've had your experiences." "5, I corrected her. 5 women, all before we met. I haven't looked at another woman since the day I asked you out." She reached for my hand. "I'm trying to be honest with you. I want to know, beyond any doubt, that you're the only man I want to be with for the rest of my life. And you need to sleep with other guys to figure that out? After 5 years of marriage?" I pulled my hand away, anger and hurt building inside me. "I need to know I won't wake up 10 years from now, with kids and responsibilities, wondering if I missed out on something essential." I stared at her, this woman I thought I knew better than anyone. "And what if you sleep with someone else and decide you prefer them to me?" "That won't happen," she insisted. "I love you. This isn't about finding someone to replace you." But the conversation only got worse. After pressing her, Lily admitted there was already someone specific, a client at her marketing firm, that she'd been attracted to for months. They'd been flirting, testing the waters while we were discussing having a baby. I spent the next week in a daze, seeking advice from my older brother Mark, who'd been through a divorce himself. His words still ring in my ears. If Lily is already asking for this, the problem is already there. The question isn't whether you can handle her sleeping with other guys for 4 weeks. It's whether you can trust her completely after this, even if she never touches another man again. In the end, I made what I thought was a mature decision. I told Lily she could have her month of freedom, from our anniversary to the end of June, but with strict conditions. Complete honesty about who, when, and where. Protection every time. No one from her immediate work circle, and I would move out during this period. "And we both need to acknowledge," I added during that painful conversation in our backyard, "that our marriage might not survive this experiment, regardless of how careful we are with the rules." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I don't want to lose you." Then don't do this, I said simply. But she insisted it would make us stronger. The night before our anniversary, she prepared an elaborate dinner and wore my favorite blue dress, begging for one last night together before everything changed. Against my better judgment, I agreed. The next morning, I moved into a sterile, furnished apartment closer to my office, feeling like a chapter of my life was ending. What I didn't realize was how quickly Lily would betray every promise she'd made. The first week was a nightmare. True to her word, Lily texted me details about her dates, 3 different men in 7 days. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't focus at work. Then came the first major breach. She went out with Jeremy, the client she'd promised to avoid. When I confronted her by phone, she was dismissive. It just happened, Ryan. We ran into each other at a bar. It doesn't mean anything. A day later, my colleague Michael mentioned seeing Lily at an upscale restaurant with a man, looking very intimate. According to our agreement, she should have told me about this date, but she hadn't. Something wasn't adding up. That's when I made a decision I never thought I was capable of. If Lily wasn't being honest, I needed to know exactly what I was dealing with. I hired a private investigator, a former client who owed me a favor, to track her activities for a week. The report devastated me. Not only was Lily seeing multiple men, including Jeremy the client and her boss David, another violation of our rules, but she'd been meeting them before our agreement even started. The PI had photographic evidence of her with Jeremy at a hotel 3 weeks before our anniversary. She hadn't wanted a month of freedom to explore before parenthood. She'd wanted permission to continue affairs that had already begun. As I sat in my rented apartment staring at those photos, something broke inside me. The pain was replaced by cold, calculated anger. If Lily wanted to destroy our marriage, I wouldn't be a passive victim. I would ensure she lost everything she valued. First, I consulted with the best divorce attorney in the city, securing their services before Lily could. Then I began my own month of freedom, but with a specific target in mind. I reached out to Tara, a marketing executive who'd recently joined Lily's company. We'd met briefly at a company holiday party, and I'd noticed how Lily seemed threatened by her beauty and intelligence. Our first date was purely strategic. Coffee to discuss potential business collaboration. But Tara was not only gorgeous and brilliant, she was also kind, recently divorced with a 5-year-old daughter, Emma. She understood pain and betrayal. By our third meeting, I found myself genuinely enjoying her company, laughing for the first time in weeks. Meanwhile, I gathered evidence methodically. Bank statements showing unusual hotel charges, text messages Lily had forgotten to delete, witness testimonies from friends and colleagues who'd seen her with various men. I documented every violation of our agreement, every lie she'd told. 2 weeks into our month of freedom, Lily suggested we meet to check in. Over dinner at a neutral restaurant, she claimed everything was going well. "I've had some interesting experiences," she said vaguely, "but they've only confirmed what I already knew. You're the one I want to spend my life with." I nodded, pretending to believe her. "That's good to hear. This has been educational for me too." Her eyes narrowed slightly. "Oh? Have you been seeing someone?" "Just exploring, like we agreed," I said mildly, enjoying the flash of jealousy on her face. She'd never expected me to actually date anyone else. Over the following week, I noticed Lily becoming increasingly attentive. She texted more frequently, suggested we meet for lunch, even hinted at cutting the experiment short. "Maybe we've both learned what we needed to learn," she said during one call. Through my PI, I discovered the reason for her sudden change of heart. Jeremy, the client, had ended their affair, expressing guilt about sleeping with a married woman. David, her boss, had also cooled things when another colleague threatened to report their relationship to HR. Lily was scrambling, trying to secure her backup plan, me. As our month of freedom neared its end, Lily proposed a pool party at our house to celebrate our renewed commitment and begin our journey to parenthood. She invited friends, family, and even some colleagues, including Tara, whom she'd been trying to befriend since noticing our connection. "It'll be perfect," she told me over the phone. "A fresh start for us, with everyone we care about." Little did she know, I had planned my own version of a fresh start. The The day of the party arrived. A perfect June Saturday, with clear skies and warm sunshine. I arrived early to help set up, playing the role of devoted husband. Lily was radiant in a white sundress, her golden hair loose around her shoulders, her smile triumphant as she whispered, "We made it. Now we can start our family." I smiled back, the weight of the envelope in my pocket almost tangible. By 3 o'clock, our backyard was filled with 30 guests enjoying the pool, barbecue, and open bar. Lily's parents chatted with mine, blissfully unaware of the fractures in our marriage. Mark gave me a concerned look across the patio. He alone knew what I was about to do. At 4:30, when everyone had arrived and the party was in full swing, I clinked my glass with a fork, calling for attention. Lily beamed at my side, expecting a toast to our future. "Thank you all for coming today," I began, my voice steady, despite my racing heart. "Lily and I are touched that you're here to celebrate with us." Murmurs of appreciation rippled through the crowd. "As many of you know, Lily and I recently celebrated our 5th wedding anniversary," I continued. 5 years of what I thought was love, honesty, and commitment. Lily's smile faltered slightly, sensing the shift in my tone. We'd always planned to start a family after 5 years together, but instead, Lily proposed something different. I paused, meeting her suddenly panicked gaze. She asked for a month of freedom to explore other relationships before we committed to parenthood. Shocked whispers swept through the gathering. Lily's mother gasped audibly. Despite my reservations, I agreed to her terms, believing in her promises of honesty and respect. I reached into my pocket for the envelope. Unfortunately, those promises meant nothing. "Ryan," Lily hissed, grabbing my arm. "What are you doing?" I gently removed her hand. "I'm being honest with our friends and family. Something you haven't managed in months." Turning back to our stunned guests, I continued. "During our month of freedom, I discovered that Lily had been having affairs for months before our agreement. With multiple partners, including people from her workplace that she'd specifically promised to avoid." Her face had drained of color. "That's not true," she stammered, looking desperately around at the horrified faces surrounding us. "I have evidence of everything," I said calmly, "which I'd be happy to share privately with anyone who questions this. But that's not why I gathered you here today." I opened the envelope and handed Lily the first document, divorce papers, already filed with the court. "I'm not here to celebrate a renewal of vows, but to inform you all that I'm ending this marriage on grounds of infidelity." The silence was absolute. Even the children playing in the pool seemed to sense the tension and grew quiet. "Additionally," I continued as Lily stared at the papers in shock, "because our house was purchased primarily with my inheritance and documented as such in our prenuptial agreement, I'll be keeping the property. Lily has until the end of the month to remove her belongings." Then came the moment I'd rehearsed countless times in my mind. I walked across the patio to where Tara stood with her daughter Emma, both looking beautiful and slightly uncomfortable. "I wanted you all to meet Tara and Emma," I said, taking Tara's hand. "We've been seeing each other, openly and honestly, and they'll be moving in with me once the divorce is finalized." The look of betrayal on Lily's face almost made me falter. Almost. "You've been sleeping with my colleague?" she choked out. "All this time?" "It's not cheating if I tell you," I replied, using her own words against her. "And unlike you, I've been completely honest about who I was seeing." What followed was chaos. Lily ran into the house sobbing. Her parents followed, shooting me venomous looks. My parents stood frozen in shock. Friends and colleagues began making awkward excuses to leave. Within 20 minutes, only Mark, Tara, Emma, and I remained beside the abandoned pool. "Well," Mark said, breaking the stunned silence, "that was certainly efficient." The divorce proceeded quickly, thanks to the prenup and the evidence I'd gathered. Lily didn't contest my claims, perhaps knowing how damaging a public airing of details would be to her reputation and career. 6 months later, our marriage was legally dissolved. Tara and Emma did move in with me, though not immediately. We took our time, building our relationship thoughtfully. Her kindness helped heal wounds I hadn't realized were still open. Emma's innocent laughter filled rooms that had grown too quiet. By the following summer, we were discussing marriage. 2 years after the pool party, I ran into Lily at the county fair. I was buying cotton candy for Emma when I turned and found myself face to face with my ex-wife. She looked different, thinner, with shorter hair and less makeup. Her eyes, once bright with confidence, now held a cautious wisdom. "Ryan," she said simply. "How are you?" "I'm good," I replied, surprised by my lack of anger. "You?" "Better than I was." She gestured to a man waiting a few yards away. "That's Daniel. We're engaged. He's a therapist, actually. I've been in treatment for almost a year." I nodded, unsure what to say. "I want you to know I'm sorry," she continued, her voice catching slightly. "What I did, how I hurt you, it was unforgivable. I was selfish and dishonest, and I've had to live with that every day." "Thank you for saying that," I responded, feeling a weight lifting that I hadn't realized I was still carrying. "Are you happy?" she asked, glancing toward Tara and Emma, who were playing a ring toss game nearby. "I am," I said honestly. "We're expecting a baby in December." Her smile was genuine, if tinged with regret. "You deserved a family with someone who truly values you. I'm glad you found that." As we parted ways, I felt no triumph, no vindication, just closure. The anger that had driven me to orchestrate that dramatic pool party confrontation had dissipated, replaced by appreciation for the life I now had with Tara and Emma. My revenge had been complete, but it was the healing afterward that truly saved me. Sometimes the most devastating betrayals can lead us exactly where we need to be, though the journey there may break us first. In my case, Lily's request for freedom ultimately gave me exactly that. Freedom to build a more authentic life with people who understood the true meaning of honesty and commitment. And for that, despite everything, I can almost thank her.